Okay, hi everyone, and welcome to Now What, the show where we explore different career pathways through career stories to help you figure out who you're. I'm your host, Yashfin,
Hi, and I'm your co-host, Chelsea.
and today we're going to be diving into the world of marketing and how to enter and break into the field. Our guest is Noah Wilburn, the founder and one person powerhouse behind I Am Creative, a media agency based in Florida that specializes in video marketing to enhance and brand content strategy. In this episode, we will be talking about Noah's journey to marketing and how to start your own journey, and how Noah took the leap into running their own agency. So let's jump right in. First, we would love to introduce Noah. Could you talk about yourself a little bit about who you are, what you do, where you're from?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Noah. And I'm born and raised here in Gainesville. Um, 26 years old, and started on creative in 2020, and um, you know, uh, my wife, got a daughter, got like to play basketball in my free time and play some guitar. And yeah, I hope to stay in Gainesville for a little while longer, or maybe forever, whatever God's got planned. Um, so yeah,
Before we get started into the questions, we did prepare some little icebreaker questions to kind of like get to know each other better. So the first question that we have on the list are like, is there any kind of like conspiracy theories that you like believe in? Like some things like fun and silly.
well, for the record, I believe in every conspiracy theory that there is. No, God, I don't know any fun ones. Okay, I mean, well, but this one's actually confirmed. But have you guys ever seen Frozen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Disney movie. So you know that Rapunzel and um the Flynn Rider, they're in Frozen. Do you know that?
Really?
I'd
Yeah,
seen that, but I think I've heard of that
yeah.
before.
For a
Like
brief
it's like a
moment,
very
yeah,
like
you see him
1 second
in the
clip.
castle. Yeah,
Now I have to go back and watch Frozen.
it's there.
Oh.
It's definitely there whenever it's walking to the castle. So there you go.
So I guess that means that like the Disney stories are all like literally in the same world.
Oh,
Mhm.
for sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely. That's one of my favorite things about Disney, Marvel, Star Wars. All the things. Everything's interconnected with each other. So
I guess it goes to show how we're all just like the main characters of our own story, as cliche as it sounds, because they really are the own main characters of their story, but they're existing in each other's at the same time.
yeah, we could get super existential if you guys want. I'm definitely down for that. Because that's a pretty valid statement. Um, how your own experience, the life that you live is your experience, but it also affects other people and vice versa. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's really weird how this thing works, but
It's crazy. And I feel like going on to that, I feel like Disney could definitely like do something. Like I don't know, like they should do like a crossover movie because they did that with like Marvel, where like all the Marvel characters like got together to fight Thanos. They could totally do that for like the Disney princesses or something. I think that'd be a cool idea.
fighting all the evil queens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we saw like a
One,
glimpse of that. We saw like a glimpse of that in Wreck-It Ralph, but I feel like they could do more with it rather than just doing it like a tiny little glimpse. It would be cool to see something like that in the future.
yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be a good time.
Yashvin, do you have a conspiracy theory?
Um, let's see. If I had a conspiracy theory that I believe in, wow, there's so many. Um, my 8th grade algebra teacher, this is like going way back, but he was obsessed with conspiracy theories and he would share so many. And one of the ones that he would share are have you guys seen the crops that kind of go in circles and everything? He
Yeah.
totally believes aliens created that. And I'm kind of like, I don't know if it was aliens, but I definitely think something funky is going on there. So, like, maybe a bit of that. Yeah. What about you, Chelsea?
For me, this one's kind of like a little out there, but I remember a couple like years ago, people were talking about how like they think Jungkook from the K-pop group BTS is like the reincarnated Princess Diana because she died August 31st and he was born the next day, September 1st. So I think that's a funny conspiracy theory. He was her
Wait, to
in the next.
piggyback off of that, I hear people say that Anne Hathaway's husband is the reincarnation of William Shakespeare. And the reason why is because they look alike, and William Shakespeare's wife's name was also Anne and everything. And like all things together, people are like, oh, like this is all related.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, those things are true. That would be uh wild to say the least. It's the only word I have for it.
Okay, so the next question that we have is if you could have an unlimited supply of anything, what would it be? And you can't say money. You know, I could go first. If I could have an unlimited supply of something, I think it would definitely be maybe pub subs. Like the specifically the chicken tender pub subs. Those are like one of my favorite foods ever. And I'm not wearing them now, but my friend got me like literally like chicken sandwich earrings because I like them so much. So I would like never want to run out and just have like them ready in my fridge whenever I want.
I think that's a great answer. You can never go wrong with a pump sub.
Yeah, and it's not just one type of pub sub. It's
The
like
chicken tender pub
all
sub
the
specifically.
okay. Oh, okay. So it is
Yes.
one type of pub sub.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah. My answer would probably be oil. About an unlimited supply of oil. I think that life would be pretty great. So
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
that's my best answer.
No, no, that's a good one. It's a smart one.
I think I would have an unlimited supply of glasses. They get pricey and I could switch them out, a little cuter some days. Other days I could go for something more mood fitting, you know.
As you should. As you should.
Oh, smart. That's smart. And then our last question is what was your first job and what was your worst job out of like your career, like throughout your career? Your first job and your worst job.
So my first job ever was holding a sign. I was 13 or 14. I was holding a sign for a gym down south where my mom lives. And um and that was cool. Yeah, that was cool. I got paid $20 an hour. I was standing out there for like, 2, 3 hours, a couple times a week. And I would just hold the sign. New gym, and I just hold it.
Send throwing it.
Nah, nah. It was one of those it was a really big sign, and it actually had handles on it too. So I would just like stand there. Oh, I would just stand there, and I would just like hold this thing, and like that was pretty cool. I mean, and honestly, like I would categorize that as like my worst job, even though I don't really think any job that I've done is like the worst job. Is like what is bad, what is worst, right? Like what does that mean? Um, Everything has always taught me something. So um, but I would say like it was probably the most boring. You know what I mean? Because you're just sitting there. I'm listening to like Jason Derulo, right? Like when he came out with that whatever album, that song Swalla La La, whatever album that was. I heard some kids singing that the other day. I was like, why are you singing that? Anyways, um, yeah, I mean it was a good time, but it was just a little boring. But
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
I think it's a good takeaway though that not any job is like inherently worse. There might be some that are more boring than others, but like you end up learning something from
Yeah.
all.
Yeah. No, that's applicable to anything that you do. Work, leisure time. I mean, there's always something that you're receiving, taking away from. Um, the difference between two people that are in the same situation like that is whether you're paying attention or not. So we just got to be paying attention. And sometimes you also sometimes you don't receive it like in that moment. But I mean, if I had to look back when I was 13, like doing that job, number one, it taught me work ethic, right? And then like the value of just being able to do something to earn, right? Keep, et cetera, et cetera. But number two, it taught me patience because standing in the same place, this for hours on end, hot West Palm, Floridian sun, you get kind of a little antsy.
Right.
Um, but definitely taught me how to just be patient, even though slowing down is something I still am working on in my own life. But
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing. I think if I had to go over, I don't have that much job experience because I'm just I'm just in the moment. But if I were to
school is
go,
a job.
hmm?
School is a job. School
Yeah,
is a job.
a lot of time and energy. But I think I can speak on some of my volunteering experiences. And I think one of the very first like volunteering experiences I had was like, shaking the bell and singing, like, Christmas songs for the Salvation Army and everything, and I put on a performance, to say the least. I
You did that? That's so cool. That's actually
It's
so
a lot
dope.
of fun, it was a lot of fun. I
That's
definitely
dope.
Yeah, I took advantage of, like, my youth at the time. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm old, but I was definitely a lot younger then. And then I think if I were to talk about my worst volunteering experience, I think it would have to be me volunteering at a lab. And I think it's because I couldn't really do anything hands-on, they just let me sanitize everything, so it was a lot of sanitizing for, like, 3 hours a day, and I'm like, "There's only so much I could do from that," but I did get to learn a lot from the nurses there and talk to them. So I think in that like, in retrospect, that was very lovely. It was just the job itself wasn't that fulfilling for me.
Okay. No, I get that. Like, I volunteer back in, like, the hospital too sometimes during the school year, and it can definitely just get old, like, repeating the same things over and over again. Uh, for me, my first job was actually in retail when I was a high school senior. It's like I just like worked there after school, and it wasn't bad. Like I enjoyed it for the most part, and it definitely did teach me a lot about having a job. I was like late on the first day, and my boss was like, "Yeah, you can't do that." So it definitely taught me a lot about how to um to like I'm an adult now. Like people are actually expecting things of me. So it definitely taught me a lot about responsibility and then maybe my worst job, I don't know if I would call it my worst, but it's, like, definitely has, like, some, like, undesirable traits. Currently, I am, like, an RA at UF, so I live on campus with students, and I love everything about the job. It's a really fun job. I'll just say the one downside is that, like, we work, like, night shifts, so we have, like, a phone that we trade off, and so when, like, a resident needs help in the night, like, maybe they get locked out, they have to call you, and I was called at, like, 6 a.m. once. So that's not fun. Yeah. But I love everything else about the job. It's just the on-call shifts can be annoying sometimes. When a resident's like, "Why are you out at 6 a.m.? You should be in bed right now," or I don't know, at the gym if you're that kind of person. But yeah, those are my jobs experiences.
Oh, yeah, that's very
You mean
nice.
to tell me you're not up at 6 a.m.? Ah, what's wrong?
Well, I feel like we heard so many interesting tidbits from everyone, and now that we know you a bit better, Noah, let's dive into your journey a bit more into marketing. So, in high school, did you do any career exploration? And, like, if you did, was marketing one of the options you considered, or were there any other careers that you were interested in?
Yeah, no, I did not. So I went to a private school for most of my life, and then I went to a public school for like 1 year. Then I went back to a private school. But I actually wanted to. I think the first thing I ever wanted to do was join the military and come out and work in like the DEA and like bust people for drugs.
Yeah.
Don't know why. If I'm looking back, I don't know why I wanted to do that. I just thought that was like the coolest thing ever. Actually, my
Mhm.
first job I ever wanted to do when I was a kid was be a Lego designer. I really wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I love Legos.
Yeah.
Um, but when kind of like in high school, I was like, man, I think I'm gonna be a journalist. Um, I think I'm gonna go to school for journalism. I'll skip the military, just go to school, study journalism, and that'll do it. That was kind of my evolution from Lego designer um, to wanting to be like in law enforcement to being a journalist. Which ironically, like journalism is very similar to marketing if you think about it in that perspective. But
Yeah, no, that's very cool. I think that's very neat, and, like, it's really cool to hear about the roller coaster of different things that you were considering before you landed on journalism as your initial thought. Was there anything you did in high school to kind of, go towards journalism since that was what you were considering at first?
so no, because there wasn't a lot of opportunity. Like they didn't have like career days or field days or things like that. But the one thing I did do quite often was write. I did write on and off, I would say. Like there would be seasons where like I'd be writing, and I used to love to write like songs and stuff like that too. So I'd write a lot of songs, but I also like when I was smaller, more a kid, I actually tried to like write my own, like Star Wars novels, right?
Well, yes.
And I would just all I did was just base it off of like the Clone Wars episodes that I used to watch, right? But it's been kind of back and forth, but from writing songs, I just kind of went to like journaling, right? And so, just kind of just writing what was going on in my head, whatever it might have been, right? And to this day now, like I'm definitely like a very active um journaler. I don't know if that's a word or not, but um, so yeah,
It's nice that you kept going on with that as a hobby, even though it's not something that you necessarily pursued as a career, I would say. Yeah. Hmm.
definitely. It's a good anybody that watches this at the 17-minute mark, you should definitely journal. It's very healthy.
So did you like attend college? And if so, did you actually end up studying journalism or like did you like find out along the way that you were into marketing? Like how did you kind of get to where you are now?
Gotcha. Yeah. So I graduated in 2017 and I ended up going to Santa Fe College for like a year and a half. Um, and in that year and a half, I was working different jobs and doing a whole bunch of stuff. Um, and the one consistent thing in my life was definitely the podcasting that I was doing with my buddies. But outside of that, when I was in school, I realized like, this is kind of just like high school, but I'm more adultish, right? And so I was sitting in a political science class, which I was like, why am I even here? And this teacher, she was like nice. She's talking about like this end of the project, you got to present and do all this research throughout the whole entirety of the semester. I'm sitting here, I'm just like, I don't have to do this. Like, I don't even want to do this. I'm just not going to do it. I was like, I'm not going to bring anybody else down on that. So I'm just gonna. So I literally just walked out. I walked out of that class and I just never turned back. I never went back to another class. I had stuff lined up, et cetera, et cetera. I just never logged into my Santa Fe portal. I never went back to the campus. Like I did not go back. And I remember calling up my parents and I was like, and I was living on my own too at that point too. So I remember calling my parents. I was like, hey, like I'm not going back to college. And they were like, because I had the Florida prepaid scholarship. They're like, oh, but your grandma's money, this, that, and the other. I'm like, I'm pretty sure she's gonna get it back. Like, even if I don't go, because if I don't spend the money, then it's still her money, right? And that's exactly what ended up happening. So literally, there was absolutely no loss. To this day, I do think about sometimes. I'm like, what if I logged in with my Santa Fe credentials? Like, I wonder what I would find like in my portal. But now I'm at a point where Santa Fe College pays me to go and like film their events, and they paid me good amount of money like this year to do that. So it's just kind of like it's just funny how that whole thing gets flipped around. Um but when I left, um it was I did there was two things that I realized. The first thing was I'm never going back. The second thing though was like if I'm never going back, then I have to figure out what the heck I'm going to do with my life, because school is not going to be it. So there was never, for me, because of the different jobs and when I was working as 13, there was never a moment for me where I was like, oh, I'm just going to like screw off and just, I'll figure it out when I get to it. Like I was actively I was in the I actively understood that I needed to do something in order to replace what I had just left behind. So in that, um, I had never even, still to this point, I had never even considered marketing. But um, I at the church I was going to, there's this guy that kind of took me under his wing, and he basically introduced me to what a marketing agency could look like. And so I remember the first time he presented this thing, he was like, you have a list of services. It's like photography, videography, SEO, whatever it was, social media man. Oh God, I'm gonna knock that over. Social media management, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember looking at this thing and I was like, this is cool, but I don't know, like, I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, um, but pretty much my first introduction into marketing outside of the podcast that I had with my buddies that I was doing called Talk Your Walk. And you can still to this day, you look up Talk Your Walk Gainesville, Talk Your Walk, no, yeah, Talk Your Walk Gainesville, Florida. You look that up on YouTube, you'll find old episodes of us from like 2018, 2019. It's great. Here we get curious. But my first introduction at that point was my mentor. He went to Best Buy, bought me a camera. It was like $1,000. Bought me a camera and gave it to me and said, "You have this. Go do something." And I was like, "Bro, that's pretty insane." Um, so I ended up taking that camera, and I was like, "Well, I got to make money." So at that point, I was working for a moving company. So I was during the summer, I was like helping people move. So I went to that moving company. I was like, "Hey, I can like do content for you guys and manage your social media." So I ended up going to these places that I had jobs that I was doing odd jobs for. And I was like, hey, I'll take over your content. I'll manage your social media. Eventually I got into ads and started dabbling in that. So I was just kind of doing like everything and anything that I could to make some money. But to also like use the gift that I was given by
Yeah.
my mentor. So that was kind of like my introduction into marketing. And by 2020, probably like it had probably been like a year and a half at that point from when I got the camera. By 2020, I ended up getting an opportunity to get paid to make vlogs for this realtor. Um, and this is before COVID, so everything's shaking and moving, and we're planning trips to Colombia, and then COVID happened, right? And that was an interesting time. So kind of
Mhm.
a long-winded answer, but that's essentially that was my introduction to marketing. And to recap it, it's basically, I had a great relationship with somebody that was mentoring me, and he gave me a gift that I ended up using. So
Oh, that's incredible. I think that's I think your story is really great, especially for those who especially for those whose schooling isn't really the answer, and that you can really find your passions in any parts of life. And yeah, that's incredible. That's really great. I was not expecting that at all. I was not expecting that answer at all.
It it definitely takes a lot of courage to finally get up, especially from school, and say, "Maybe schooling isn't for me," especially because that's the traditional way that most people get into marketing. But you taking an unconventional way really does go to show that any way is possible as long as you make that path yourself. And would you say that there are, other unconventional ways to enter into marketing other than your own?
yeah, there's plenty of conventional ways to do it. I'm just gonna plug in my thing while I'm talking. Um, there's plenty of conventional ways to get into marketing. You can go to school, you can get an internship, and do it that way. The you can get a job on working for a company. It just kind of, just depends on how life ends up turning out for you. But, the reality is, you know, marketing is more than just structure. Marketing, you have to be you as an individual have to be flexible. You have to be proficient in whatever skills that it is that you have. But you really just have to think outside the box for some cases. Um, so and then also too, like you also, and this is something that I'm learning even right now, is when it comes to marketing for businesses, you have to, there is structure that you have to have, and something that I never got was that structure. And because I left school and just kind of did my own thing, one of the things that I lacked was understanding how structure works, infrastructure. So there's pros and cons to to either doing your own thing or not. And it's all really dependent on how you best learn. So I don't know if that answers your question or not, or anything like that, but there's a bunch of different ways to get into marketing. Yeah.
No, thank you for sharing. And I'm sure like with this, there's like a lot that surrounds marketing. Chelsea, do you have anything you want to add on to that before we maybe ask our next question?
No, none.
No, yeah. Well, now that we got like a really good insight on how someone can enter into marketing and your own story on how you entered marketing, with the years of experience you have, would you say there's a common misconception about marketing that maybe deters people away, or just a misconception in general that allows people to misjudge marketing as a whole?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Is there is there a is there a common misconception of marketing? I would say I think there's a couple, maybe. And I'm only speaking from my own experience. So, you know, don't hold that to anything but that. But like one a misconception that I know that I was pretty common is like, well, because I went to school and I have this degree in marketing, I'm therefore qualified for this position. Um, Fact of the matter is, your degree doesn't mean anything in marketing. It's like I said before, it's not about the credentials that you have. It's about who you are, and it's about what you've done. So, school is great, to again finding infrastructure and whatnot. But if you've never done anything, then you're not qualified. You have to learn it. And that's why internships are so great. I would say another misconception that I am aware of is if I build, if I do the same thing for the same, if I do the same thing for this same, uh, you know, type of business, if you will, right? If I have like a perfect funnel for coaches, right? If I build that out and I replicate it, I'll get the same, I'll pretty much get the same results. Fact of the matter is that's not the case. Because usually, area, size of the business, I mean, there's so many factors that determine whether something that you're building marketing wise for somebody is going to work or not. And though it's good to find a niche to work in, you have to be educated not just about that niche, but about the area that that person is in. Um, so I would say those are the two common misconceptions that I hear. It's like, if I build a system, like if I build like this, lead generation funnel or such and such XYZ business, then I'll get the same results every time. That's not the case at all. Um, yeah, I don't, hopefully that answers.
No, yeah, no, thank you for sharing. I think that definitely like kind of relates to cooking in a way where there's so many recipes, right? There's so many recipes to make so many different tasty foods. You can't use like one recipe to make so many different outcomes. I think that that really does play like a role in marketing as well. You really have to be creative. Yeah, thank you.
You said it. You have to be creative.
Yeah.
That's exactly the point. You have to know your stuff and you have to be creative. Have to. That's why I called my. It's part of the reason why I call it I am creative, right? Because it's a statement of identity. So really, the it's kind of a tangent, but the the I am comes from what God says in the Bible when He's talking to Moses. He's like, "I am that I am," right? And so the statement "I am" is a statement of identity that God says that He is, but also says that we are in Him. And so the I am creative, right? Creativity, the world was created by God in 7 days. Well, the seventh day he rested, but in 6 days. And so because, if you, and I'm not sure what you guys believe, but and for anybody watching, I don't know what you believe either, but Jesus Christ is king, and God, and the God of the Bible is truth. And that's period. But we're created in him and we're reflections of him. And so, because he's created, we are too. And so part of the mission of, when I was running the agency was helping the owners that we were working with, helping them understand who they are as well. And that it's not just, you're not just hiring us to do everything for you. It's a collaboration. We're going to guide you and lead with empathy and show you the value of the creativity that's not just in us, but also in you. And that's, so your statement of you have to be creative, that's exactly what it is. You have to be creative because you are creative. It's
Yeah.
no, doesn't matter what you do. So